what's your hard stop?
4:15.
Let's do this. All right. Welcome to the Soccer Podcast USA. This is Christina Unkel with Lori Lindsey and teaser. That's probably going to be the last time I'm going to have a welcome with that name. So we'll jump into it here shortly, but it's a bit crazy to say we are in our final episode of season one of the Soccer Podcast USA, a Red Card Productions. Did I name that? Of course I did. A little nod to the back. But Lori, how are you?
Yeah, great. I am great. I had a couple days rest, which was like the first time in like 3 weeks or so. So Euros ended, went straight into Leagues Cup, Copa America final, which was outrageously amazing, and also this is the first weekend of NWSL. So there was no break, but then now I've had a few days off and back at it for Leagues Cup tonight. So yeah, all amazing stuff and feeling rejuvenated after having a few days. How about you?
Good. I love that it only takes you like 2 or 3 days and then you're ready to conquer the world. So like um once again, I'm still in stupid year-end financials. So yes, that thing's a real thing. Anyone starting a new club, start your year-end financials 6 months before your year end. Don't start it 2 weeks before. Fun fact. But this summer, it's kind of summer of financials, right? But summer of soccer, I am retitling it to the summer of Lori, as Tony mentioned. You heard Lori every single day, and our producer Kev gave me some numbers, and I want to see exactly where we are with this. You covered UEFA Women's Euro 2025. 31 matches from July 2nd to July 27. Copa América Femenina 2025, 26 matches from July 11th to August 2nd. That is a total of 57 matches in 31 days. More matches than number of days in that. What, how many of these games did you do? I'm like going to be backtracking now to get your percentage.
Yeah, I probably did. I'd have to go back and look. It was maybe like 17 or so euros. I feel like that's what
Okay.
it was. And then I did a couple group stage, the two semifinals and final of Copa. So that's five extra. I had three MLS games during the Euros as well. And then I also had two Leagues Cup. That probably takes us all the way through July, outside that Copa America final, which was August 2nd. So you can count that or not count that if you want.
Ooh, the summer of Lori. So we
But
were
like,
roughly like
here's the
around
thing. This is like,
27 games.
what'd you say?
You were roughly like around 27 games.
Yeah, that probably sounds about right. When all's said and done. But I feel like that is one thing that like well, of course, a lot of people wouldn't know this because it's not everybody's in this profession, but um whenever there's like a tournament, everything is like it's so extreme, right? Because you have so many games, first of all. You're right there. It was kind of a unique situation with Fox this year because they had two tournaments. Actually, I mean, you could say three, like with the Gold Cup just ending right after we started the Euros. But they had two women's tournaments right back to back or overlapping. Euros with Copa America. So that's a bit unusual. And since we weren't on site and we were all at the studio, um, it was easier to be able to then utilize people calling games and studio and then also both tournaments. So I just want to say like, yes, it's a lot of games. I'm not like discrediting what I did because it was a ton of work and so fun. But you also realize going into it that it is like such a unique experience. I mean, it was very similar in Australia, New Zealand for 2023, but we were traveling, so we didn't do as many games because we were actually up and down the coast of Australia. So, with all that said, you just know going in that's going to be kind of an extreme side of things, given how many games you do, because it's such a finite period of time for those tournaments. So, yeah. Anyway, it
It's
was
like a
amazing.
marathon. I remember doing.
It was,
Yeah, I
yeah.
remember doing
Oh
Fox
no,
for
it's like a sprint
2019,
slash
and
marathon.
yeah, our host there. Oh God, sorry, his name's completely blanking me. He does all of Fox Soccer's like main hosting jobs. I
Rod
think he's
Stone?
in every single sport. Yes, thank you. Sorry,
Yeah.
Rob. Um, Rob was like, Christina, this is a marathon. Eat well, hydrate, go to sleep
Yeah.
on time, make a routine. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I was like, oh
True.
shoot. Like I literally felt like I was participating as a participant. Well, I guess you are, but like, you know what I mean? Like a player or something of that extent. I didn't realize how
Yeah.
like intense that stuff could be. And sure enough, we were in France that year. But I was in LA, so I was getting like fake eyelashes at like 3:30 in the morning. That was not a fun routine. And I was like, why? I'm just a real sandal.
Oh
I'm
God,
on
love
for
it.
like a tenth of a second at the most game critical times in it. But anywho, well, Lori, your summer of soccer is over and you're transitioning back into regular professional football. Here, domestic stateside, I say regular professional football as, no big deal. Let's just add another Cascadia to your repertoire coming up this
Yeah,
Saturday. Um, don't laugh.
so
I still
true.
haven't booked tickets. Gotta
Okay,
get over
well, we
there.
like how you operate to the last minute. So, I mean, actually, it does feel like the big question on next week is gonna be like, did Christina make it to Portland or not? So this is but also I feel like you should realize that the game is Sunday, not Saturday, so make sure you book your travel.
Yeah. Good point. I liked my text back and forth. I literally thought it was Saturday. So I'm speaking at FYSA Florida Soccer's AGM on Saturday morning at like 8 in the morning. And I like, get me the earliest time slot. There's a game, the Cascadia rivalry Saturday night. I got to fly cross country. And then you're like, it's Sunday. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you're good to go. You
Noted.
you you got plenty of time to get there now. Look at you. You have a few
Plenty. You
drinks.
know what? I have, yeah, we could do the whole thing. I have not been to Portland since pre COVID. How
Oh,
crazy is
wow.
that?
Yeah, you're a
Yeah.
great city.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
And I love Portland. I'll go back. It would have been the last time I refereed there. So I'll go back into the records. I'll find Jen, right? Soccer girl stats Jen and
Yep,
get that
super.
get that number from her.
Exactly.
Yeah, Jen Cooper. But yeah, that would be the last time I was in Portland. And then right, Portland this weekend. Obviously we're looking up to it, but like I just thanks Kev for all these stats. I'm not a stats person, but I like when people read them out. But like 42 meetings, like that's crazy that they've met
Yeah.
42 times and they basically have like head to head on it. And that would be funny to ask Jen how many times I refereed them, this Cascadia rivalry, and who won and who lost every time I refereed, because it was always pretty bitter. But what are you looking forward to in this game? I know we talked about briefly earlier in the season. Like, what are some of the things that you're looking for? Them all coming back. So it's going to have a little bit of a different like energy level into this game.
Yeah, well, I think there's a couple things. One, this is the biggest rivalry in um, women's sports in North America. I mean, it's like the longest. I think it's the most built up. I would say I had this rivalry earlier in the year when it was played at Seattle as well. So I feel double lucky to be doing this. Um, and I would say Seattle um, has more of a chip on their shoulder, I think understands, when I say understands, that's in quotes, but understands the rivalry a little bit more because of Laura Harvey, because of Jess Fishlock, Lauren Barnes. Those two players and their coach have been there since the beginning. And so they understand and helped build this rivalry. So, one, I think that's huge. They actually, if I remember correctly, yeah, they won. Yes, they did at
Yeah,
home.
they won because remember the stamping on the roses and all that
Yeah,
fun
exactly. We talked
jazz.
about that. Thank you. Um, and so one, I'm just looking forward to the rivalry in general because it's always extremely fun. I think that it's at Portland is going to be an added element now because the fans know about it. They'll be excited. Um, and also, I'm looking forward to, granted, now we have 2 weeks into, or it's the second weekend into NWSL after being back, which is an important note because I felt like this weekend you could for sure see that teams had been on a break. And that's typical. You're just used to, it's like, feels like the first couple games, the situation, but now they'll have each of these two teams will have a game under the belt. Seattle actually won. They beat Angel City, and this past weekend in like the 92nd minute, Trinity Rodman scored to win against Portland at Washington. So I feel like Portland's going to have a chip on their shoulder about that. They won't be happy that they dropped all 3 points. Um, but also, mainly, I'm super excited to see the Seattle team that I think is going to be and look rejuvenated. You get Mia Fishel, who's just joined the team from Chelsea. She's a huge addition. Jess Fishlock seems to be healthy and ready to go after her time with Wales at the Euros, and also like a rejuvenated Jess Fishlock because she battled injuries a ton at the beginning of this season. And then also, I think with some of these new additions, Sophia Huerta's back too from her loan over in France. I think, well, I know all these pieces should help Jess Fishlock in terms of bringing out her skill set because obviously she is on the latter part of her career. That's not any sort of um, unknown fact. But so she needs players around her. And I think this will help in terms of her not feeling like she's doing everything. And I think this is all of a sudden going to look like a very different Seattle team that can make a run at the end. So all of those things Portland, I've really enjoyed this so far this season, but all those things I think make this for like such a fun, exciting game on Sunday.
Yeah, one of the things I always look for is seeing what the Rosie Riveters, if they do a TIFO,
Yes,
what's that going to
I was
look
gonna
like?
say
I'm
that.
kind of tempted to like jump in the mix of them because I've always
Yeah,
been scared of them. Like heads up, Rosie Riveters, like you guys have always been super intimidating, so keep that up. But I'd be
but we
curious
love
if I
them.
can go into the mix of them.
Yeah.
Hey, but you weren't a referee, so like they weren't coming at you. So, I'd be curious to see what the TIFO is and to jump into them. But I mean, it is like, I mean, to your point, like the strategic moves, I think is one thing I've been really appreciating in NWSL, right? Not
Yeah.
just Seattle bringing in these key pieces, right? Lori Harvey, we talked about it, sending Mendeza over to Dallas Trinity, even the USL Super League, and getting her back, and just the awareness and the scope of these teams and those who are activating on it and saying, let's get our players, let's get them in player in places like Sofia Huerta, where they can get those times, they can get those touches on the ball, they can get more minutes, they can become more creative and be more of the world, more versatile, for lack of a better term, and then put them back in the system. And people aren't, I don't think, are going to be ready for it. So, yeah, I'm with you on Seattle. Be interesting to see what we end up doing here, in the sense of like the energy this way. Can the pieces click that
Yeah.
quickly? I know that's always a unique thing. Like, can they click that quickly? But like you said, you got an incredible coach with Laura Harvey behind the helm of it. Like, if there's somebody who can do it, I bet. And I'd put some money in that. I'd bet on that. I don't think we're allowed to bet, right? Yeah, we're not allowed to bet on our jobs. But let's do that. I mean, like, kind of to your point, I just wanted to kind of touch. You mentioned Trinity Rodman. I mean, obviously incredible her to be able to come back. I know she's just getting her playing minutes in, et cetera. But like you as a player as well, when you come back with from such a long-term injury or at least like a nagging consistent injury, and I'm dealing with this with one of my players, it's like their first ever major injury where they're kind of like, you've been out for
Yeah.
months. Like the psychology behind it, you heard it in the press conference or in her post-game conference. Like for you, like what does that feel like? Did that transfer over as much as it did emotionally for me to like understand that like what she's been going through and how much it means to her to come back?
I mean, I just think it's remarkable. I think the fact that, you know, the thing is about Trinity, she's exceptional. She's generational talent. We've all known that. I mean, every time that she steps on the field, she's electric. Something's happening. She makes something happen. And I think it shows after all of that time away, working to heal up her back away from the team, and then to be able to come in and step in and score a goal like that when it means so much. I think one just speaks to, yes, her talent on the field, but also just like the emotional capacity, mental capacity she has to like kind of just focus herself in those huge moments where it might feel like there's a lot of pressure or people expecting something of you. And in fact, she's just showcasing like her ability with like tons of joy on her face and also emotion because of um how challenging, and maybe you don't realize all those emotions too, right? As you're doing it, you're putting in the work, and there's just stuff that unexpected that comes up at the most interesting of times. And I feel like that's what sport is all about. We put so much into it as players. um it's, you know, takes up it is all consuming, right? Even if you it is
Yeah.
everything, really. Even if you can compartmentalize and you have other interests and all that kind of stuff, is very all consuming in that regard. So, um, yeah, for her to be able to overcome, get healthy again, and then do what she did is just exceptional.
Yeah, and shout out to Trey. I know she's getting a lot of kind of pushback, right? You saw her at Wimbledon, right, rooting on her boyfriend. You saw her in different places, but what everyone always sees is just that social media handle. You're not seeing the work that's happening behind the scenes and the times and hours she's putting in. So shout out to her to come back to all those haters and be able to basically say like, yeah, I ain't missing this, eat it. But as soon as she scored, it just flashed back to Chloe Kelly, right? Just big time players like they are created and made and thrive in those moments. So to your point, generational talent, similar to Chloe Kelly. I know we were laughing because we were looking at all of those like social media posts where they all do like the high knee horse right kick setup. So I love seeing like the young girls doing it, but importantly the young boys taking those types of penalty kicks or just people doing an average civilian life. What do you call them? Like the normal everyday person, NARPs.
Yeah, maybe.
What
I
is
don't
it? Is it
know.
NARP? Oh
Yeah.
man, I mean, the first time I heard, I think it was oh God, it might have been Pino. Meg said something like, called him like a normal average person or something. It was like a NARP or something like that. Like I was like, oh, okay.
A
So, but
normal,
anyway,
average, regular person.
yeah, something like that. It
Like,
was, I
whatever.
was like,
Like,
okay, I gotta get that turned down. But it was funny to see those kind of taking it onto it. But um, jumping to strategic play, Ali Sentnor, Kansas City. What's that mean to you? Because this means to me multiple different ways when I put my GM hat on.
it says to me that the way that the the rules work these days, and Utah hasn't shied away
Very
from that.
well.
They said that she was ready to move on, right? Ready to move on, and Kansas City were interested, and so they made it happen. And that's what it says to me. I mean, to me, it's tough when you have a player that is I mean, I don't know why I don't know why I lost my train of thought, but you have a player that, yeah, like is playing on the national team, exceptional, right? Also another generational talent as this young player, one of the best young players in the world, who seems to like is playing on the national team, seems to has really huge desires to continue to improve and get better, and for all the reasons that we don't know, like I haven't heard anything in specifically, but seem to want to move on from Utah, and their coach said that. And so Kansas City came and were willing to pay and go after her. Now, Claire Hutton and her are good friends as well, so I'm sure there's a lot of different factors going in. But the one thing I will say is, even speaking with Vlatko Ananoski, he was like, and I really appreciate these conversations, which is um, the fact that he's always looking at his team overall, right? And not for the immediate success, but how do we set ourselves up and how do we look at our team for years to come as well? And they're like, we need to get younger, we need to bring in some younger players, and Ali Sentnor checks that box in terms of, yes, helping make our team younger, because she is a younger player herself, but also fills a need in terms of versatility in the attack. Vanessa DiBernardo just announcing her pregnancy, so she'll be out for the foreseeable future. But when you look at the front line, anywhere or in the midfield, Ali Sitnor could play there. And the way that this Kansas City team plays is, you do need to have some versatility. So she comes in, I feel like fits in perfectly to the system. I would imagine that was one of the drawing factors too for Ali. So
Mhm.
that's what it feels like to me. I mean, these are the basics understandings of like how things work. Like the player has to be okay with moving or has a desire to move. Kansas City had the same desire to get her in. They wanted to make it happen. And I think in a lot of ways it makes sense for Kansas City, even though a lot of people would be like, wait, they just keep getting better and better. How is this working? This doesn't seem fair. But it's I think she fits in seamlessly.
I think you hit on the head. I mean, the GM hat, when I saw this interleague, transfer happen, is like going back to, I love how you said laws and then you jump back to rules. So that's like well trained there on the FIFA laws of the game. But right, the CBA for the players for NWSLPA, moving towards and back to basically on this term, the FIFA RSTPs to require mutual agreement by the player to be able to be transferred. So, like to your point, right? Not every club is the right place or the right space for someone at that time, et cetera. And that's not, an indication one way or the other. It's just it may not be a right fit for that time period. But the one thing that intrigued me most about this, like you hit on the head, like for me, and not yet announced, like we did this too for a player. Like we didn't have like the budget for the player, but the player became available and is a bigger piece for us in 2 3 years, like a mainstay player, younger. Like how do you do this? And sometimes this is when you, speaking of financial budgets, make an exception to the rule and ask ownership for a little bit more money because right place, right time, pick up that player, kind of do a bigger piece for it. And I think that's what makes, that's what does and will make Vlad probably one of the most, dynamic coaches and analytical thinkers when he creates his squad. And he's very, very good at that. So I know everyone, to your point, great, they got another one coming in. But like Di Bernardo makes sense, right? Congratulations to her and her family on that. But it makes all the most sense when you talk about the longevity of it. Sitting and doing scouting and analysis and what players are going to impact you in 3 5 years. That's a lot of kind of assumptions being made, but I'd take an assumption with Ali. Like I would make a good benefit of the doubt that she'd have this impact longer term, especially being, rising, young, Oh, like I try to tell people players all the time, there's something called a book value, and she's got a solid book value, so create
Yeah.
that. But I don't know. I'm looking for this. It'll be interesting to see how she plugs into the mix right away. But at least this trade didn't happen and didn't occur in the middle of a game like the Rays and the Yankees trade. Did you see that? There was a player who was traded in the middle of the Rays and the Yankees to each other at the same time. The guy's like, I guess I'll just put my bat away and go into the dugout. Like he was like hugging everybody. I was like, that's odd. Don't get me wrong. I know the Rays GMs and presidents, but like that's still a bit of an odd kind of a thing to me. So I'm glad
Yeah,
she
you're
didn't
like,
find
"Wait
out
a
in the middle
second."
of a game. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was like, how does that happen? Like, did your agent call you and say like, hey, you just got traded? Like, step out, leave, like immediate,
basically, I'm
effective
sure, yeah.
immediately. Ah, that's weird. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. I still have to look into that how Major League Baseball allows that, but it's a different kind of a
Yeah, I don't know
beast.
about Major League Baseball as well. If you look it up, let me know.
Yeah, no, I will. I'll text you on my way to the Saturday Cascadia game. So no, nobody go to the
Exactly.
Saturday game.
That's it.
It'll
It
just
might
be
be
me and
that one's for
anybody
sure
else.
gonna be a real hit.
Right in front of like all of that green foliage if they still have that. So I'll
Exactly,
just be standing out there with like
exactly.
the MLS ball that stands out. I always made Quinn stand in front of that ball and like point to like Don Garber's name and stuff. But speaking of Don Garber, MLS calendar shakeup was on the horizon, pushing it back. Board of Governors delayed a vote on it to shift the American professional calendar for soccer or football to right the calendar year to a fall to spring schedule. USL Super League is the only one that has that currently, and I can tell you, right, there's conversations there as to the pros and cons when you talk about fans, when you talk about TV, etc. Um, interesting. I think. Oh, here are my quick thoughts on this one. I think the need to do it would be based upon sporting competition and I don't want to use the word integrity, but really sporting competition to be able to keep up with the rest of the world, at least be in line with the rest of the world, whether the rest of the world does it right or wrong. At the end of the day, the United States is not on par with what we talk about with schedules, player transfers, right? Being able to compete in inner leagues or intra leagues, right, against UEFA or others. I'm a fan of it from just a pure soccer analytics kind of standpoint, but I'm not necessarily a full fan of it yet. Need a little bit more insight when we talk about revenue, when we talk about fans. Like Major League Soccer is still heavily based in having fans' butts and seats as one of their driving revenues, which is tickets. I don't know. I mean, I see, I always kind of joke and I say I see Green Bay Packer fans sitting there in the snow and all that crazy stuff. But I don't think soccer fans are that extreme here in the United States yet to be sitting in the snow. I don't know. You're from Philly, Lori. So, like, would people show up and sit in freezing cold snow?
Yeah, I absolutely think so. I think with some of these MLS fans as well. I mean, called games in New England. I mean, it is freaking cold in some of these places, and they're still showing up. I wouldn't say they're packed houses or packed stadiums, so that is something to keep in mind. But there's still some diehard fans that are coming out and really supporting that team regardless of the temperatures.
Yeah. So we'll keep an eye on it with everybody else. But we'll see. I mean, it's another thing. It feels like it's what's been talked about for years, right? So we'll we'll see what this seismic change happens. But if they're gonna do it, they got to do it during the World Cup. It's the right timing. It's the right pivot point. So 2026, do or die. Let's see if this happens. Let's see if we finally get back onto the world calendar. But speaking of calendars, and Lord, I mean, I don't know. I know we did. Shout out to Kevin Nile for basically
Yeah.
calling this the end of season one, but what is like a season? Like, is it just like an arbitrary thing of saying like, hey, you've done 10 episodes, like that's season one? Like, how did we get to the end of season one? Like, how does that work?
I don't know, but great for us. Like this is and I only say great because one, we get to make up all the rules, and then two, we have
Yep.
like some really exciting stuff, revamping a lot. I mean, I don't know how much we're talking about it on this episode, so people are gonna have to kind of wait and see. We just have a little tease, but yeah,
Oh,
super exciting stuff coming up in terms of um, what the show's gonna look like and sound like, and I know I'm pumped. So
yeah.
feels like
Let's do
just
it.
like summer soccer is coming to an end, so listen, season
It's
1 for us is
perfect.
coming to an end, it's ramping up right at the exact time that it feels right.
We're gonna have like 13 episodes on season one, and like season two will be like five, and like season three will be like 36. And it's gonna be like, what's a season? I'll be like, it's whatever Lori and I want, whatever makes sense from a natural endpoint. No, but like with that said, right, season one wrap up. Huge thanks, right, to our guests that showed up for us, right? We knocked it out, our first episode with the one and the only Emma Hayes. Shout out to Julie Foudy for joining us. Foudy still is getting on. We're gonna pull Foudy back out. We didn't harass her enough, so I think we need to harass her a little bit more in season two. Boxy guests that I've always revered, and kind of to your point, Tony, Shannon Box was always kind of my idol growing up. Leslie Osborne, and oh my God, what's the name of her dog again? Oh,
Arsenal. No, wait.
Leslie.
I just made it up. I just feel like I just made it up.
Leslie Osborne and Arsenal.
I felt like it was like a soccer name or something,
It was
and no.
like Gary. I thought it was Gary. All right, we got to go back to that episode. So check out that episode with Leslie Osborne to figure out who Gunther. It was
Gunner.
Gunther. Gunner,
Arsenal.
Arsenal, and then Gunner, and all the way to Gunther. So
Yeah,
you were
that's
close
funny.
with our towers combined. Shout out to
Really,
Leslie
really
and
funny.
Gunther for stepping on. Hale, obviously, huge shout out to her for doing it from a dentist's office as her kids getting cavities done. Like that's
You
typical
get a
Hale.
cavity. No, you get.
If you get a cavity, I'll rise and stand up for a cavity. The one and only incredibly beautiful and smart and dynamic Janelle Farias, for all that she does. Hearts out to Bev Yanes for having been on the podcast as well. Mark my words, future U.S. Women's National Team coach on the horizon in the future. She's definitely got it into her, and obviously shout outs to her for just being really authentic on that podcast and talking about a lot of the stuff and things that she's currently going through. So shout out to her. Listen back to that. The strength of Bev on that is prominent, and if anything, it's how you know that she's handling what she's handling right now. The ever funny Jimmy Conrad, who I have no idea how he keeps his background screen updated that much. Like he always ends up changing. I don't know how he keeps it very theme appropriate. So if you need to check out Jimmy, go check out what's on his back. I tried. I had the little whiteboard. I put names on it. I gave up after it, but Jimmy always seems to be on point. Your one and only, what is it, work husband? Chris Whittingham. Yep.
Yeah.
Chris was on the show. Hey, he's good. Jen Hildreth, your work wife, or is it now
Yeah.
Jackie? I don't know which one it is. Your first worst
I
wife.
mean, I have a lot of work husbands and work wives, so it's intense. It's
Jen,
intense around
Jen
here.
Gorella, the TST comeback king. That's probably not what he wants to be known as. He probably wants to be known more as a Leeds player, but that's what I would like to elate him as. But catch him on Serie A with CBS. We're kicking off here shortly. Yes, Mike Nastri, I just pushed CBS Serie A. Jackie Oley, one and only, calling the game, having her voice over here. Our ever crazy fun Kupo, who continues to remind me that I'm not old, so thank you for that. And Tony Miola. Uh, now I understand the mullet. I fully understand your hair, Lori. I went back, I looked at it. I now know what the inspiration was, and I never knew our entire lives when I used to rep you.
Queen.
But yeah, Nate Bukate, Kansas, really letting us know that, the Midwest ain't playing. Jenny, right, from the sports bra, which somehow I missed you at the WNBA All Stars. Apologize for that, but definitely gonna go hit you up this weekend. Yeah, and Jessica Sharman. So thank you all for jumping on and being part of our season one and kind of what it is and what it wasn't is probably the most important. It's like what we started creating, like basically us ignoring Kevin's notes all the time. Love you, Kevin. Niall, thanks for always laughing and putting up with us as we go through kind of all of this, shenanigans as we create what has now turned into the future name. But definitely a special shout out to Luther Ellenson. Thank you for putting up with us, for helping us with design and editing and being our tech wizard and putting up with Kevin. But thank you all for all that. You make us look sharp. You make us put up. You answer all of our questions. And we can't thank you enough because trust me, Lori and I do not have the time to clip videos. So just FYI, people think I'm sitting there clipping it myself. Nobody is ever successful without others and a team. So thank you to all of you guys for doing that. And Lori, as you alluded to, season two next. What are you looking for season two? And we're gonna be teasing out a name, but what are you looking forward to for season two? What do
Laughs
you want to bring
are
to this?
laughs. more guests. I think
Yes.
we'll have even more wide range of, yes, soccer, but other things as well, which you saw some stuff of that, glimpses of that this season as well. But yeah, mostly just laughs and maybe some more in-depth soccer stuff too. Yeah, I mean, listen, the world is our oyster, as they say. So we so much to come.
So much to come. Pay attention. Thank you all for being with us on season 1. Season 2, change up so I mean, we already kind of did it, but we're going to be talking about soccer, but we're going to kind of allude to Lori and I's other lives because there's been some really incredible guests. We'll bring them on and then probably just ask them if they know what soccer is. But either way, it'll be fresh, renewed. We'll introduce you to our ecosystems as we kind of move forward. So thank you all for season 1, however many episodes this was. And we look forward to the next season. Thanks, Lori, for your time too. And I appreciate you for jumping on this crazy train with me. Good people, good energy, and we just like to laugh. So that's what we're in for. So see you all next season. Don't forget to follow us on the Soccer Podcast USA as we continue to bring you big names and bold opinions. That's it for our show. See you later.